ಜ್ಯೋತಿಯನ್ನು ಎದೆಯ ಮಂದಿರದಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಳಕಾಗವಿ ಶುಭ ಗಳಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇನಿತು ದಿನ ಜಡ ನಾನು ಬಂದ ಚೇತನ ನೀನು ನಿನ್ನ ಶಕ್ತಿಯ ಪದಿ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯಾದೆನು ನಾನು ಈ ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ. Members, this is Ravindra Kore, Chairman of Bangalore branch. Welcomes all the viewers and members for the 41st Jnana Dasova live webcast from Bangalore branch. The today's program is on disclosures annual report for COVID. Is going to be handled by CA Shankar Jagannathan. Session. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Srinivas, mute ಮಾಡಿ. Yeah. Srinivas, mute. Dear members, during this corona, and every week 2 or 3 webinars from the Bangalore branch we have planned. So accordingly, the different topics, we are the members who are suggest the topics based on members' input. We are handling all the sessions. We managing committee are not choosing all the subjects. The few members will suggest, sir, this has to be done in this month, and this has to be done in this month. Yes, we are ready to serve in this COVID time. Bangalore branch, you are aware, the country to begin the webinars in the way back 18th March. We have started our journey. Today we are in the 41st session. Tomorrow we are having the session on how to capitalize the excellent professional qualities practice for chartered accountants by CAE Venkat Shivkumar from Chennai is going to handle the session. After that, 24th July, we are having a session from CA Naveen Karika, discussion on demonetization related elections. And after that, 29th, very important session from our past president of ICAI, CA Amarjit Chopra sir is going to address common errors in financial statements, 29th July. And 30th, we are having a session from a very well resource person, a simple man and very experienced man in the indirect tax, that is Advocate Keshwaran from Chennai, is going to address on real estate sector and GST issues. Members, coming to today's topic, it is very relevant topic as financials are now every companies we have to. And what is the impact? We are always says the impact of COVID-19. Actually, impact will come the financial year of 2021, and we are finalizing the this. Definitely, there will be disclosure requirement for the COVID impacted for our previous year. Also, what has to be disclosed and what is to be addressed for the members. The very well resource persons from our Bangalore, CA Shankar Jagannathan sir is going to address members. Once again, I welcome CA Shankar Jagannathan sir for this forum, and also all the viewers. The viewers is very active for the Bangalore branch, Jnana Dasova. Now it is crossing more than 500 every day. It is giving actually boosting for the managing committee members. Earlier we used to serve for the only 200 members, 250 when we are conducting the programs in our branch, but always we look positivity in the conducting the programs. Yes, we are ready to serve for you members. If you want any topic to be handled, kindly send us, because we are planning 1 month in advance. Already we are planned August month programs. For September, what is the relevant for what to be addressed? As you know, the head office is limited for 10 webinars. Whatever suggestion will come, we will restrict for the first 10. What is the best? Accordingly, we will serve for the members. I will not take much. I request our Bangalore branch secretary Srinivas to introduce today's speaker to all the viewers. Over to Srinivas.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, sir, and good evening all the members and viewers for today's program and disclosure on annual report for COVID-19. In the backdrop of COVID-19, there is a lot of reporting issues will be there while reporting in companies aspect. sir is making us simplifying because he studied more than 11 companies, nifty companies, and American studies made on those companies, how they are going to report in the backdrop of COVID, because it's a very difficult task while reporting a company's report, considering the each and individual aspect. Sir is going to simplify by telling about those reports. Thank you, sir. And it's my pleasure to give a brief introduction of Shankar Jagannathan. By qualification, chartered accountant and law graduate, is very passionate about economic history and sustainability and corporate governance. Is having varied experience in corporate and academics and social sectors in a career spanning more than 35 years. He worked in various companies. In that he worked in Wipro for a very long period. He was also associated with so many other companies and institutions like Ajim Premji Foundation, Ajim Premji University, Indian Institute of Science, Union Bank of India Staff Training College, and so many other companies. And he is a author of the Corporate Disclosure and the Wisdom of Ants. These are the very key books he has authored. Now he is presently a founder and chief executive of Simplify company. With this brief introduction, I welcome you once again, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much to both the chairman and the secretary for the introduction. Well, share my screen. Please tell me whether the screen is visible so that is the screen visible, sir? Hello?
No, sir, no.
Sure.
Yes, now we can see, sir.
Okay. Okay, sir. So thank you all for the interest in this topic, which is disclosure in annual COVID-19. Just as Mr. Srinivas shared in the introduction, I am by hobby an economic historian. I have done studies over the last 500 years of companies and why companies disclose information. So this session of about 90 to 105 minutes, what I plan will cover these 5 distinct areas. After that, we can take questions on the topic that comes in. First, I'll talk a little bit about triggers for disclosure. Why do companies disclose? Second, we'll look at COVID disclosures in USA. Almost from January till May, companies have been disclosing. There's a research study which has covered about 3,600 companies on what they have disclosed. We will see the kind of disclosures that they have made there. Then we will see the Indian regulations and see what does Indian regulation require Indian companies to do. Then I've done a select of about 11 50 companies covering different segments so that we can see the kind of disclosures we see made by these companies. And we will see and heads the kind of disclosures made. And in June 3rd, we had Simplify had prepared a report on model reporting disclosures for companies under COVID-19 impact. And I'll briefly touch upon that and share some more disclosures so that we complete the entire picture in terms of what to be disclosed. So here, purely I'm looking at it from the view of what the company has to disclose and what the company has to disclose in the annual reports of the company. So when you look at the motives for disclosure, one of the big things when you see over the last 500 years, valuation of companies, you see whenever there is a bull market, the bull market gives rise to new valuation models, and each valuation model results in companies disclosing an element of disclosure that makes it useful for the investors to value the company. So this is what I would call the pull factor, where the investors are making the disclosure so that they get a benefit that comes from it, and this benefit comes in the form of ability to raise resources or get a higher valuation for the share price of those companies. The second factor that comes is primarily what is triggered by the bear markets. Whenever there is a bear market, the bear market is followed by scandals, corporate scandals. When they investigate the corporate scandals, they find that there are some corrections required to be made. And those corrections come in the form of additional disclosures, either of financial statement or of governance requirements. And both these become a part of law. And the way they ensure that these gets reported is by ensuring that there is a penalty for non-compliance. So if there's a requirement that is required to be made and the disclosure is not made, a penalty is levied. So this becomes in terms of the push factor that we see. More colloquially, we also call this the letter of law, where a company is motivated by the desire not to pay fines, and they do what is the minimum that is required to be done, and they take enormous care to ensure that whatever is required to be done gets covered. A example of disclosures, what you can see is in the prospectus, because prospectus comes under very strict legal scrutiny. You will see people go to great lengths to cover every element of disclosure that is required by law, especially in the risk factors, and ensure that there is nothing that is left which can have any exposure from a penalty perspective. At the other end, you see in terms of voluntary disclosure by company, a lot of voluntary disclosures made by company is primarily driven by need to share the good and the bad news, ability to share the bad news, a mature management and mature board, because it forewarns the investors of what potentially could happen and therefore arrives at fair value much sooner than expected. It also sets the investor expectation of what to expect from the company, and that also ensures that the quality governance that you can expect from the company. This is also seen in the annual reports published by the company. In between, there are some opportunistic disclosures that take place, typically at the time of fundraise or in terms of thing where the principle is disclose when in doubt, and here the benefits is the primary driver, and so there is not much legal scrutiny that comes in terms of these disclosures. So when you look at the two extremes, one is the minimum, other one is voluntary disclosures. In between comes in terms of the opportunistic disclosures. So in this context, when you look at disclosures made, first we have to go and look at seeing the kind of disclosures that is made in United States, primarily because of the number of listed companies they have there, and they've also been disclosing on COVID-related disclosures almost January, and therefore over the last 5 years, you see extensive number of disclosures that have been made by the companies, which gives us a very good idea of what to look for. Here in this presentation, I am referring to a study made by Stanford Closer Look series. What they did was disclosures made by about 3,644 companies on COVID. The disclosures were made between the period January 1 to May 9, 2020. They looked at three kinds of forms that is filed with Security Exchange Commission, their equivalent of our SEBI. One is a 8K. 8K is where the companies have some critical price sensitive information and therefore share it with the stock exchange through stock exchange information to all the investors. Second is 10Q, which is the equivalent of our quarterly results published by the companies. And 10F is the annual report published by the companies, which again has to be filed with the SEC. So what these researchers did is they looked at these three kinds of disclosures made by the company and analyzed them and presented it in a form which is very interesting. Later, I will use some of these frameworks to analyze the kind of presentation made by the Indian companies to see where we stand. So if you look at it here, the first one, if you look at in terms of the disclosure made, we are talking of the initial disclosures that have been made. The COVID as an issue started coming up only by about 31st of December. So one of the first disclosures made by the company, not surprisingly, is by a biotech company. And this company shared their participation in creating a vaccine for COVID-19. It is logical. It's also a factor of human nature that you tend to see more initiative taken where you stand to benefit. And we have seen here in terms of this company coming up to share how they are participating in creation of a vaccine technology and therefore the investors could stand to benefit by their early participation. And this is what the first disclosure that was made on 22nd of January. The second disclosure, contrastingly, is by Starbucks, which says 50% of the shops in China they closed. However, the 50% of the shops they closed earned 15% of revenue. And here they are also giving in terms of the downside warning, saying the shops are getting closed, and given the dynamic nature of these circumstances, their ability to predict when the business disruption will be halted and customer traffic and related incidents will go away is also cannot be reasonably estimated. Here is the first time they are saying that COVID-19 could have negative impacts, and the negative impacts immediately is seen in the form of 15% reduction in revenue, which is because of 50% of shops in China being closed, and the potential for these disclosures when they would go away. The impact of this is also at the initial stage they are not in a position to be able to judge this. So it's logical to say that you have seen both the positives and the negatives of COVID coming through in the first month itself. The second interesting thing when you look at this, here they have looked at only in terms of the quarterly reports filed with SEC and the annual reports which is filed. Interestingly, many companies there have January to December results. So many of them have come out with the filings between January and May. If you see the number of companies which were filing their quarterly results or annual results, and how many of them made a reference to COVID. If you look at in January, only about 0.8% of the companies made a reference to COVID. In February, it gradually rises to 35%, 5.5% of company making reference to the COVID. Gradually, it increases up to 100% of companies making a reference to COVID. And in May, you see, except for one company, all other companies have made a reference to COVID. Therefore, it is now what was earlier seen in isolation by one or two companies has gradually expanded to almost covering the entire universe of listed companies in United States with regard to the kind of disclosures they have made on the COVID-19. So what is the nature of disclosure that they have made? So if you look at the nature of disclosure, you are seeing about 78% of the companies have disclosed COVID-19 as a risk factor. So in the risk factor on what could affect the company's performance, these companies have disclosed that COVID-19 is a factor that could affect the performance of the company going forward. Therefore, the investors need to view it with caution. If you look at another, about 72% of companies have made a reference to COVID-19 when they are talking of management discussion and analysis. Management discussion and analysis is a key element of annual report, because this is like a cricket match. After the cricket match, the player and the man of the match come and share what they felt and what they saw during the cricket match that happened. So here the management team comes and shares with the stakeholders how they see the performance of the company that has taken place in the last 1 year. And here 72% of the companies found it necessary to make a reference to COVID-19. Again, 60% of the companies made a reference when they were talking about the discussion of their financial performance, and notes to accounts where they were talking in terms of the notes to various assets that they have impairment related, where they were talking in terms of the notes to accounts. There was reference in terms of to COVID-19. Then we see about 31% of companies made a reference to COVID when they were talking of forward-looking statements, where they were saying, whatever we are talking about future, it has to be taken with the various risks that come in. And one of the risks there includes COVID. This was in the case of about 31% of companies, and 5% of companies referred to COVID in their business description itself, giving it a much higher importance than all the other companies. So if you look at the trend, primarily people have seen it more as a risk, a context in which you have to look at the business performance. Then when it came to financial reports also, there was reference to notes to financial accounts. You saw in terms of reference to COVID, and there was in terms of outlook, when they said, no, what is the future outlook for the company? They spoke about COVID-19, and again, business, again, they spoke about COVID-19. So when you move to a little bit more further detail, what did they talk about? In the earlier slide, we saw where did they talk. So where they talk, tell us the context. Now, what did they talk about when you look at it here? This analysis tells you 59% of companies made a reference to the forward-looking statement. 47% of companies spoke with reference to cash. When they were talking of cash and cash equivalents, they made a reference to COVID-19. 44% of companies spoke about it when they were talking of their top line sales, revenue. Then, 40% of companies spoke in the context of supply chain, how their supply chain was getting affected, or in terms of their ability to repay debt or to raise fresh debt. Then there were 36% of companies spoke about employees, and in the context of mergers and acquisitions, 27% of the companies spoke in the context of losses, 26% of companies again spoke in the context of guidance they were providing in terms of the company's performance going forward, and so on. And when you look at it, there were companies which also spoke about COVID-19 with regard to layoffs and forced separations, or in the case of furloughs, which means where people were forced to take unpaid leave, but they were still continuing the employment of the company. So you can see a complete range of about 14 items under which the companies were talking with reference to COVID-19. So now we look at specifics to see what companies said. This gives you only a representative in terms of what the companies have been talking about each one of this. So if you look at it, the first of the thing, when you look at it here, when you look at COVID-19, we are seeing here in terms of forward-looking statements. Typical forward-looking statements would say that the actual results from what we are projecting, and the reason for this difference is because of risks and uncertainties. And in this case, because of COVID-19, they felt it prudent enough to bring it right up into the front and show this as a major risk factor, which is something to be considered by the investor and the stakeholder when they were looking at future performance of the company in the context of the results that the company had declared for the previous quarter or the financial year. The next one, when you look at, we see in terms of liquidity or cash. So a lot of companies, one of the companies, whether the company will be able to continue its operation and what is the kind of liquidity position that the company has. In this, we are able to see that companies focus, what is their priority. In this case, this company says their focus is to prioritize action that preserve or improve our cash balance. They are saying the single biggest priority at this point of time is not growth, is not further investments. I am primarily focusing to ensure that we preserve cash so that we are able to ride out over the tough situation we have. And once the situation comes back to normal, we have adequate resource to be able to deal with the situation so that they are in a position to manage that. Then when you look at in terms of revenue or sales, many of the companies that have spoken about how much of revenue have potentially lost. So there is a element that because they had to shut down operations of certain shops or certain factories or certain locations, especially in Europe. After China, the next most affected was Europe early in 2020s. So here companies are making an estimate of the amount of revenue that they lost because of COVID-19, which, like all elements of estimate, is on approximate number which they out with. So you are seeing them also quantify the number so that people can look at what is the impact of COVID on the of the company. So when you look at it again, when you look at supply chain, many companies have looked at the supply chain impact because of their suppliers present in either China or in other places that got affected by COVID-19, and the implications of disruptions to their supply chain, which could in their future production and future sales coming under impact. Likewise, we also see in terms of debt, companies making a statement to the effect that how COVID-19 has impacted their ability to borrow funds, and do they expect that they would still continue to be able to borrow funds, or what is their perspective at that point of time, so that people can take a look at it and see what is it that they have, what is the risk that they have to factor in when they are dealing with that company. So here we are seeing in terms of which are the sectors which made more representation of COVID-19 in their annual filings or quarterly filings, and those which got lesser mentions. As you would see, complete airline industry was shut. Similarly, travel was affected. Consumer products and chemicals to some extent affected. Entertainment was affected. So you see, all the players in this segment have necessarily made a reference to COVID-19. In case of airlines and travel, it has been almost 100%. It is 100% in fact. And in consumer products and chemicals and entertainment, it is upward of 90%. But when you come to certain things like utilities, telecommunication, or financial services, which is much more critical, people have been able to, there is less disclosure that is made with regard to this. So we are seeing in terms of as low as 38.9% of the companies making a reference of COVID when it comes to utilities, and when it comes to telecommunication, it's only 52.5% which have made a disclosure with regard to this. The next, before I move on to the next one with regard to Indian regulations, I thought if there are any questions of this, and then move on again back to the presentation and go on. So if that is fine with you, can we look at kind of questions that we have got at this stage so that we can see what is it that we have to do? Is that fine, sir? Mr. Srinivas? Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Can we take some questions now and move, or shall we go on with the...
Sir, you can go on with the presentations. So later
Okay.
they can push the question. You can take lastly.
Okay. Because I wanted to break the monotony, since it was a one-sided presentation, I thought if there are questions, we could take that and then come back in terms of this. I'm fine.
Yeah,
we can
if
move
it
on
is possible,
with
sir,
regard
if
to the
anybody
presentation
asks the
submitted.
questions, better you can continue, because otherwise it will be disturbance.
Okay, then.
Oh.
Fully. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So after seeing the kind of practice that is in US, we have to see what is the regulation in India, how much of what people have done in United States is applicable to India, and if there are something specifically read by relations, what is it that companies have to do or have done with regard to the Indian regulations. So here, when you look at Indian regulations, first we have to start with Companies Act, because this is the act that regulates all the entities, corporate entities in India. And if you look at it, section 135, which deals with financial statements, board report, etc. There's a clause 3L, which says material changes and commitment, if any, affecting the financial position of the company, which have occurred between the end of the financial year of the company to which the statement relates and the date of the report. So since most of the lockdown happened on 24th of March and continued, and the lockdown got extended on more than 2 occasions. So what is the event that has happened between the date when the financial year end, that is 31st of March, on the day of, there's a company, Bajaj, which has reported on this. In the director's report, they have made a reference which very clearly states that bearing the impact of COVID-19 as described in the management discussion and analysis, no significant event has taken place which has an impact on the performance of the company during 2020 from the date of the balance sheet till the date of the report, which basically means COVID-19 has had an impact, and the details of it they are covering in management discussion and analysis and not in any other part. Other than this, that there is no other requirement. This section would attract the attention for both the listed and the unlisted companies, and we have seen here the example of a company making a reference to it here. The next one you look at is with regard to the with regard to LODR requirements, which is primarily applicable for equity listed companies and debt listed companies. So there is a thinking that any information that is company specific needs to get disclosed, and if it is a generic information, it need not get disclosed. Therefore, whether there is a earthquake, whether there is a flood, whether there is a political change with regard to election or a new policy that gets announced, because it is generically applicable, you are not required to make a statement. So the question here is, should companies have made a reference with regard to COVID-19? So when you look at LODR regulation 33, there is a specific provision that says if there is a disruption of operations of any one or more units of division of the listed entity due to natural calamities, then it needs to get mentioned. So here we are seeing that COVID-19 would have attracted the provision of this section, this regulation, and therefore the minute the company shut down operations because of the natural calamity, in this case COVID-19 pandemic, they should have made an announcement. Similarly, for debt listed company, there's equal called 51(2), which clearly states that any other information having bearing on the operations or performance of the listed entity, or any action that affects the payment of interest or dividend. Because there is a shutdown of operations, there's a requirement that companies should have made a disclosure under this. In reality, most companies did not make disclosure under these two requirements, which was the reason that on May 20th, SEBI came out with an advisory which required companies to make a disclosure regard to the material impact of the pandemic, and they specified illustrative items of what should be covered by the companies when they were talking with respect to COVID-19 impact. So here they very clearly said the ability to maintain operations, including factories or closing down any of this. If there is any scheduled restart, again, this is a very price sensitive information to disclose. Steps taken to ensure smooth functioning is something we spoke of. Then estimate of future impact of COVID-19 on its operations. They should talk about details of impact on the various elements here they prescribe with regard to the heads under which you had to cover. Then they also spoke about existing contracts or agreements where non-fulfillment of any obligation by any party, this could be by you to your customers or by your suppliers to you, this needs to be covered, and how it impacts the operation is something that was required to be covered. Once this particular advisory came, then we began to see more of companies that came in and started making the disclosures. So given this regulatory context, now we will go and see what is the kind of disclosures that Indian companies have made with regard to COVID-19 in their annual report. Here again, I'm looking at a select list of 11 companies. We all the balance sheets of Nifty 50 companies. About 24 companies had already published their annual report. From that, we took 11, which is a sectoral representation, which we cover, so that we get a flavor of what is happening across different sectors as far as the disclosure by these companies in the annual reports are concerned. So 11 companies that we covered has representation of financial services, which is one of the most impacted portion. So here we see 3 companies are covered here. For IT, we took 1 company as a representation. Most of the companies have very similar disclosures. So looking at 1 will give us enough idea. FMCG, we looked at 1. Food, we took 1. Telecom, we took 1. Automobile, infrastructure, paints, pharma. So this make up the 11, like a 11 batsmen or 11 players in the cricket. We also took 11 numbers so that it gives a complete representation. Then for these 11 companies, what we did was we took their report and searched for the word COVID or COVID-19. We said, where does this word COVID or COVID-19 occur? And then said, how many companies do these occur out of the total? So then we classified them. For example, in chairman's message or chairman's letter to stakeholder, 9 out of the 11 companies made a reference to COVID-19. Similarly, in CEO's message, there were only 3 companies which had a CEO's message which was distinct from chairman's, and all 3 of them had made a reference to COVID-19. Director's report, we again looked at 10 out of 11. Similarly, secretarial audit report, 6 out of 10. 6 out of 11. MD&A, all the 11 companies had made a reference. Statutory auditors report, 4 of them made a reference. Notes to financial statements, 10 of them had made. Like that, it goes on. Consolidated financial statement, general shareholder information, corporate governance reports, risk management report, employee response to COVID-19, chief operating officer, COO, chief operating officer's message, chief risk officer's message, and business responsibility reports. So you can see almost right the annual report, we have seen references to COVID-19, and the references have been more in case of international companies and more in case of companies that are B2B, that is selling to business, as opposed to companies which are selling to consumers. So when you look at it here, we have taken to see what is the kind of disclosure that companies have made in the annual report. So when you look at it here in terms of chairperson's message, here in Asian Paints, here they say the focus is one of reassurance. They are saying, I want to assure you that even in these uncertain times, your company has been taking all the measures to not just successfully mitigate and navigate business, but also take care of its employees, our assets, our stakeholders and customers in strong, sustainable. So here very clearly they are giving a reassuring message saying there is a problem, but this problem we are taking care of it and we'll be in a position to handle it. When you look at Bajaj Auto, this automobile sector has been one of the most adversely affected, and here they are expressing their concern. And here I've emphasized saying it would be foolhardy to believe that the demand will not get affected for at least 2, if not 3 quarters of financial year 2021. So here they're giving a lot more concern, saying, look, it's not going to get rectified soon. Therefore, we need to be clear and be prepared for a longer haul. Then when you look at in terms of Kotak Mahindra, where again in their report, they've said, look, they're laying out their priority in the letter message. They're saying our priority is safety and safety of people and their well-being. Second, focus on cost and productivity. Third, what we are lending, we are dividing between before COVID and after COVID, and before COVID has to be dealt with differently, and after COVID period lending has to be dealt with differently. So we are seeing 3 chairman's report, one which is expressing reassurance, saying, there's a problem, but what is it that they, second one saying, that there is some kind of a challenge, and the challenge is not short-lived, it will be there for 2 to 3 quarters. And here in case of a financial service company like a bank, here they are saying, look, what happened before COVID and what happened after COVID needs to be seen very differently. Therefore, this is a very significant event on which we need to focus on. Next, when you look at, here you are seeing a CEO's message. In contrast, person's message, which is addressed to all stakeholders and looking more long-term, CEO's message focuses much more on internal operations. And in case of Infosys, they're primarily talking about how they moved their work office to work from home, and how their clients are also adapting to work from home, and how they're ensuring that this is done without diluting anything to do with cyber security, and ensuring that there is a system that they have in place based on which they can provide the similar kind of service to their clients going forward. So this is with regard to the CEO's message that we have seen. Then when we look at here in director's report is again very wide and covers a lot of things. Here I have picked 1 or 2 which I thought may be of interest to us. So here with regard to director's report, with regard to performance evaluation, they are very clearly talking, saying, there is a nominal increase in remuneration payable to all employees of the company. And considering the COVID-19, the directors have taken a 10% cut in commission. If most of us who have seen in the world know that, especially in the startup world, most companies have had salary cuts for their employees. And here, even in larger companies, here they're saying the directors have taken a cut of 10% of commission payable to their non-executive directors with regard to the base commission considered in the earlier year. Similarly, in case of Bajaj Finance, here they are talking with respect to a relaxation that is provided by MCA in the of debenture redemption fund, and here they are saying that they are taking benefit of that. So instead of making the investment before 30th of April, it has been extended to 30th of June. They will be using that exemption. The next one we are looking at is with regard to the real audit report. So all listed companies and companies which have a share capital beyond a particular threshold are required to do undergo a secretarial audit. And here in case of Bajaj Auto, so in the secretarial audit report presented in Bajaj Auto, the auditor is making thing saying that their verification is subject to certain limitations caused by COVID-19, which prevented them from accessing all the records. So here they're saying subject to limitation of physical interaction and verification of records caused by COVID-19, they're giving the audit report subject to that. So this is, many companies have done this, many secretarial auditors in companies have done this. Whereas there are a few companies which have not made this statement saying, that they have done a full verification and it's not limited by COVID-19 restrictions. Similarly, here we see in Britannia, the company, the secretarial auditor making a reference to certain relaxations given by Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Security Exchange Board of India with regard to COVID-19, and they have considered those relaxations. Some of them relate to the meeting with the independent directors, for them to do board evaluation and free flow of information to the board, one of the requirements, plus certain other requirements in terms of holding board meeting with less than 120-day gap between the two board meetings. There was a whole lot of relaxation that was provided by COVID-19. So here the secretarial audit report is saying, they have considered those relaxations when they have arrived at and saying that the company has complied with the provisions of the law for that period. Similarly, here, in case of management discussion and analysis, this is a very critical element. Here we are seeing these, here where they're talking about two elements with regard to their business. They're saying what are they doing about COVID-19 and how will it affect their business. So they're talking both about the short run and the long run. So they're saying in the short run, what has happened to them, how they are issues that have come up from short run. And with regard to long run, they're saying, we believe that there will be more uncertainties than ever before. Consequently, our overall performance may be quite volatile. Then they're also saying, they're cautiously optimistic. And if they successfully manage the risk, they should be able to perform satisfactorily for the financial year 2021. So this is a very balanced communication where they've explained the company's performance in the short term, in the long term, and also what is to be expected. And if they perform successfully, what is it that the stakeholders can expect from the management of the company. Similarly, here we are seeing in terms of statutory audit reports, here there, especially in case of financial service sector, where loans are there, the repayment of loan and estimation with regard to repayment of loan is a very critical element. We have seen in both the cases here, the auditors have reference to 19. For example, here they are drawing a reference to a notes to accounts in the financial statement with regard to estimation of risk, and their reference to that, and then giving their audit report. Similarly, in terms of Bajaj Finance, again, they are talking here with respect to that they are to deposit with statutory authorities with regard to the professional tax payments, and they are saying subject to that, they are going with their audit report, which is again saying that the auditor has not been able to verify or the company has not been able to deposit due to certain constraints which came up due to the COVID-19 case. Similarly, here we are looking at notes to financial statements. When you look at notes to financial statements, we see here they're saying the outbreak of COVID has not affected the going concern assumption of the company. One of the critical elements is that comes up as a concern, since the impact is so large, shutdown has been for such long period, does it affect the going concern? So in companies, few companies, auditors have made a reference to COVID-19 to say they have considered that in making their assessment. In many companies, they have not looked at, especially in companies with very large cash holdings and strong business performance, this may not have been so evident, but in certain companies, auditors have made a specific, the management has made a specific reference with regard to COVID-19 when they're talking about their assessment of a going concern while preparing the accounts. Again, here, in terms of consolidated financial statements, here we are looking at the kind of reference that is made to COVID-19. So here they're talking of estimation, this is with regard to Hindustan Unilever report. They're talking of estimate of uncertainty relating to global health pandemic for COVID-19. And they're going on to describe the entire event. And after that also saying that having reviewed data and based on current estimates, the company expects the carrying amount of these assets will be recovered and there is no significant impact on liability accrued. So they are providing a reassurance saying that the balance sheet is a fair statement and they have considered the impact of COVID-19 in arriving at the estimation, realization of their assets and quantification of the liability that is accounted for in their books of accounts. Similarly, we see with regard to the general shareholder information, the company making a reference that there are certain relaxation provided SEBI with regard to dealing with investor grievances. And here they're talking in terms of the fact that they have used or that they have highlighted the fact that these relaxation available for the company while dealing with investor grievances. Similarly, here we look at in terms of the corporate governance report. Here, every company in every financial year is required to have a independent directors meeting where they need to meet without the presence of non-independent directors and management so that they are able to evaluate the performance of the person, the board, the subcommittees, and the flow of information to independent directors and assess it. So in this case, they are saying there was a meeting scheduled on March 17th. However, this meeting could not take place and the said meeting was postponed and it was held on 19th May 2020. So they're saying they have complied with it, but with a delay because the original meeting could not take place before 31st of March, which is what was required as per law. So here you are looking at risk management. Again, in risk management, it's a key element. We are seeing here Bajaj Finance talking different kind of scenarios under which they have tested the stress with regard to the loans that the company has given. And in this specific case, taken the unemployment forecast made by global agencies while they stress tested their assets in terms of realizable. So this again a critical element as far as financial service companies, especially which lend money, are concerned. Then here, this is probably one of the most extensive coverage of risk. I've captured it a little bit in detail because it is not just applicable for this company, but it's applicable for almost any company where you want to do a comparison with regard to the risk elements of risk that can be affected by COVID-19. So in Infosys annual report under risk management, they have covered the occurrence of COVID-19 and how the risks may come. First, they are talking is our client's business may be affected. If our client's business is affected, our sales can get affected, our collections can get affected. That's what they're talking about. Two, they are saying their ability to deliver service may get affected because of people working from home, and some of the contracts of the clients may not permit that to happen or may require approval to be taken, which can again be time consuming. Third is on restrictions on travel. Once travel is restricted, then what are the implications of that with regard to impact both on revenue and on profitability? Similarly, they are saying in some cases they require their client to sign off on the amount of work done, especially on projects which are based on which are work in progress. And some of those cases, they were not able to get the consent of the client for the purpose of completion, and hence small portion of revenue could not be recognized. They're also saying profitability impacted because of some clients have started price reductions and discounts. This we are seeing across almost all sectors, and this definitely is a risk that is associated with it. Then lower profitability and prolonged payment terms because of the negative impact on clients. Similarly, clients or suppliers evoking force majeure costs that can negatively impact. Last one is in terms of temporary shutdown, if there are some incidents of COVID that gets found in any of their campus, then the cost for making the office safe and hygienic. This is incremental cost that will be required to be incurred, so that with regard to security, with regard to the temperature testing, with regard to the sanitization and so on. And the second one is with regard to additional cost of procuring hardware, technology, so that people can work from home in a secure manner. So this is one of the comprehensive list of risks which can form as a guidelines for any company that wants to create terms of what implications of COVID-19 for their on their operations. So again, here, this is more reassurance. They have given response of different employees to what they have done during the COVID-19 and how they got the confidence of various clients, so that they are able to retain the confidence and be able to work with them. Similarly, we also have here the Chief Operating Officer here making a reference about how they are dealing with the COVID-19 with regard to their company. And here, the company Infosys comes because primarily they are the people who have given a lot more information in the IT industry. As a representative of IT industry, here, as we have taken them, they have given each one of those messages and where they are capturing that. The last one here, the business responsibility report. Most companies have not covered this, primarily because the heading under which Infosys has covered is are there members of trade union association, and if yes, how has it dealt with your business? Here they're talking about one of their chief operating officer being the chairperson of NASSCOM, and another person being on the advisory panel of US on COVID, and therefore they are saying these were significant association during this period. So if you see the Indian annual reports, you can see almost under every head that you can think of, there has been extensive coverage of COVID-19. It's almost like a news channel or a newspaper. You cannot see a news channel or a newspaper that has not made reference to COVID-19. Similarly, there is not a single annual report that has not made a reference to COVID-19. And you can see COVID-19 reference in almost every section of the annual report. So having covered the disclosures made by COVID-19, the Indian listed companies which are represented through these 11 companies we have selected, these are isolated disclosures. We wanted to create a framework and see how to see disclosures under COVID-19. So this report, Simplify had prepared based on all the disclosures made in the month of April and May, and we had published this report in June. The 3rd of June, we had published this. I'm sharing this more to have a conceptual view of what needs to get shared, why it needs to get shared, and the details, giving some examples in terms of what has been shared by these companies, both in their earnings release, quarterly earnings release, their websites, with regard to their projectors in case of Reliance, which made an IPO during this period, and in terms of the financial statements that were published by these companies. So we created here a voluntary disclosure model. This voluntary disclosure model should go beyond law, because good governance is all about ethics, not about legal compliance. So in our model, we created a 3-part disclosure. The first part of the disclosure we said should cover primarily the context. It should say COVID-19 environment. So what is the whole thing about COVID-19 environment is you will see it very differently if you are an international company versus a national company versus a regional company within India. So you have to show how the management has seen COVID-19 with regard to their business, and that is what needs to get captured here. Similarly, we said the second part of this is, one is you have to capture the environment. The second portion is you have to capture how it has affected your company's operations. So how is it has affected company's operations? You have to detail it out in terms of your factories, facilities, sales officers, and your employees. A brief idea in terms of how it could have impacted your business. The third element is with regard to the financial. Here we are saying a company, whether you are an investor or a lender, there are four things you want to know about the company. One is the liquidity of the company, that is the ability of the company to meet its short-term liabilities. Two is solvency, ability of the company to pay off all its debts in full, so that and still have something left for its shareholders. Both these are fact-based, and the company need to make a statement on the liquidity. On liquidity front, ideally for 1 or 2 quarters, and as far as solvency is concerned, as on a given date. Then there has to be a management opinion on profitability to say what is the profitability of the company in the previous year. So in India, COVID-19 affected only the last 2 weeks. Therefore, the last financial year would not be representative of what the impact of COVID could be. So therefore, management's opinion on what they think will happen to the profitability of the company in the financial year 2021. And the fourth one is sustainability. Sustainability is to look at the business from a slightly longer term perspective, which is beyond the next 1 or 2 quarters, and for 1 or 2 years, and see what is the likely impact that the company's business is likely to have because of COVID-19. Then we said, should the disclosure be made? Because COVID-19 is such a dynamic situation, we felt that this disclosure should be made on their website. It should be a document which gets enhanced for any changes that take place. The second disclosure that is required is to the stock exchange. You have to keep the stock exchange informed of any significant event that has taken place. Third is with regard to the earnings press release, where you are communicating the results of the company. And the fourth one is with regard to the annual reports. So we said the disclosure needs to get made under all the 4 circumstances, on the 4 channels. So here one example to be able to give the context for each one of this that we have captured here. So here we are saying a voluntary disclosure when you look at on COVID-19, when you look at HDFC's bank on notes to financial statements, you can see a comprehensive view of what has happened with regard to COVID-19, not just in any portion of the country, but across the globe. So they talk of March 11th, when COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization. Then they're talking of March 24th, when Indian government announced a 21-day lockdown. Then they're talking of certain RBI pronouncements, what has been made and how it will affect the bank's results. So this I thought was a very comprehensive discussion made with regard to the environment. Then when you look at in terms of the impact, if you look at the impact here with regard to Reliance, you can see them quantify. They are saying COVID-19, how it has affected in terms of all the different elements of their business, that disruption in production, supply chain disruption, unavailability of people, lockdown of production facilities. And then they're going on to explain what is the lockdown and further what has happened subsequently with regard to the oil prices. Then there is an exceptional item that they are reporting in their financial statement, which says the amount they have provided as a loss, exceptional item loss, which is 4,245 crores, which is net of tax of 899 crores, so that they are able to say in terms of how they have estimated this and taken this in terms of the impact. In terms of on quantification of impact, you are able to see both the impact on the operations, and we are also able to see a quantification with regard to the amount that has been held with regard to this. Then when you look at in terms of voluntary disclosure, you look at on liquidity, here TCS we have taken here. We are looking at notes forming part of consolidated financial statements. Here they're talking with the liquidity risk. They're saying what is the impact of COVID-19 on the liquidity, and here they're quantifying their assessment of impact of COVID-19 on liquidity with regard to the financial statements, financial assets that is carried at fair value, and also with regard to the receivables, and how they have quantified the impact of COVID-19 on these assets that they are holding at any point of time. Third is with regard to profitability. Here we are seeing in terms of Reliance Industries rights issue, letter of offer. Here they're talking in terms of what is the impact on profitability of the company. They have quantified this again. I had pointed itself in the impact quantification. So here they're talking in terms of the exceptional item which has come in and impact pre-tax and post-tax costs are highlighted here. Then here with regard to on solvency, we can see Bajaj Finance talk extensively about the solvency here. So they're looking at different scenarios and how they were looked at estimation of this, how they were provided for loan because of the impact of COVID-19 and making a statement to the effect that the solvency position, so that you can get a clear view in terms of the solvency position of the company with regard to this impact. Then the last one when we look at is with regard to sustainability. Sustainability is with regard to not the current demand, but also the future demand. Here you are seeing in terms of them making a explicit statement saying the group does not foresee any large scale contraction in demand, which could result in significant downsizing of its employee base, rendering the physical infrastructure redundant. So they are saying in terms of not just what has happened in the past or in the short term, they are saying long term, we are not expecting any large scale destruction of demand, and we expect our business to be reasonably there. Before that, they're also stating in terms of what are all the segments where there could be adverse effect with regard to each sectors, especially with regard to retail, travel, transportation, and hospitality, and also a different kind of impact that could take place in banking, financial service, and insurance industries, and how it could impact their business. So this is in terms of what I wanted to cover with the disclosure of COVID-19 on annual report. So I'll be happy to take questions from here. And if there is any further anything required, we can also go back and refer to the presentation so that we can cover what we out till now. Okay, I'm now open for questions. So can we look at the questions, please? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Tell me.
sir. Yes, sir. We have. I've come to the end of my take question and answers.
Okay. Now you would like to have questions, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Question box. Is there any regulations in India laws regulating requirements of disclosures related to COVID-19?
Yes, sir. Okay. I didn't get the question.
1 second, sir. 1 second. Yeah, is there any regulations in Indian laws stipulating requirements of disclosure related to COVID-19?
Yes, sir. Specific SEBI. There's a specific SEBI which specifies what the companies have to disclose. 19. There is this is the notification. If you can see it on your screen, which I have pulled out that specific slide. What a listed company in India has to disclose with regard to COVID impact on COVID-19. So just get into the detail. what they are saying is they're saying anything that is considered material should get disclosed so that people have clarity. They are given a list of administrative things what needs to get disclosed, under which there are 6 items, and under one of the items there are 8 sub items. For example, they are saying ability to maintain operations, including keeping the factories, units, office functioning, and when you have closed them down. 2 is, if you have any schedule for restarting them, you should disclose. 3rd is steps taken to ensure smooth functioning, because employee health is key. What is it that you have done to ensure smooth functioning of your operations? 4th is with regard to what is the future impact of COVID-19 on your business. Here there is an estimate that is required to be made. 5th is you have to specifically state with regard to impact on capital and financial resources, profitability, liquidity, ability to service debt and financial arrangements. What is the impact of COVID-19 on assets? Is there any impairment of assets? Then internal financial reporting and controls. Now that there is distributed working where you're working from home remotely, what is the impact on financial controlling, reporting and controls? Supply chain, what has happened to your supply chain? How is the demand for your products and service affected by COVID-19? Because a few industries have thrived. For example, all industries which have been dealing with, let's say, Zoom-like, where your distance, for example, distance learning, conferencing facilities, remote working, remote monitoring, all of them have done very well. Whereas certain of hospitality, then with regard to transport, travel and others have been adversely affected. So here a comment in terms of how it has affected, positive or negative, and what is the impact. And lastly, with regard to contracts, how are people faring with regard to contracts? Is there people honoring the contracts, or is there something that you are seeing with the movement with regard to the contracts? The regulatory requirement is clear.
Yes, sir. Where is the PPT available? Dear members, kindly note that PPT we are uploading in the background. I request IT team to send the link also for where we are uploading the PPTs, because in our website there is a background is there. There you can get the all details. It will be uploaded after concluding the sessions few hours. From the payment of taxes, what other disclosure can be made by CAs in the auditor's report?
Sir, there are 3 elements to look at with regard to auditor's report when you are doing with regard to 19 impact. First is, did you get access to all records that you wanted to verify? Normally, if you have gone and verified the records, have you got access to all? If you have not got access to the records, did you get remote access to the records, and were you satisfied with the access? If there is any concern with regard to access to records, to seen in case of one audit report where they have clearly said, that there are some statutory payments which have not been made, or the evidence of statutory payments were not produced to the auditor because of COVID-19. For example, here I showed it here, statute report here. When you looked at here, in Bajaj Finance, they had said the company has been either unable to deposit the dues with appropriate authorities, or the physical payment challan of the dues deposited are not currently retrievable. So if you are not able to verify, because under CARO, there are a lot of requirements where you have to personally check. And if you are not in a position to check because of either you cannot access the records or the company is not able to access the records, then there is a requirement that you are basically stating a disclaimer, and people understand it in the context, because the whole world is going through and there is no have got the access to those records. So that is one. And 2 is, wherever there is an impact that the management is making with regard to realization of the assets, and which is in the context of COVID, there is a certain level of uncertainty surrounding it. The question is how you want to draw that. So in this case of Kotak Mahindra Bank, we see there is a note in the financial statement which talks about uncertainties, and the auditor is only making a reference to that note. So 1 is availability of information. 2 is if there are any notes to accounts which draw 19. making a reference to that. And third one is if there is something you are not able to do, then to state it upfront. But I must at the outset, sir, I am not a practicing chartered accountant, so I may not be the best person for guidance. What I am sharing here is based on what I have seen.
Sir, is COVID disclosures mandatory for unlisted companies?
If you go back, I was telling you on one situation. I would think if you look at the Companies Act, Section 135(3), where it says material changes and commitment, if any, affecting the financial position of the company that have occurred between the date of financial year and the date of report, because that is where the lockdown has taken place and a lot of decisions have been taken by the management. For example, you have decided to shut down an operation. In a continuous processing business, if you have shut down operation, then there are implications for that. So I would say for the company, if disclosure under this, it would be a prudent disclosure, because I believe when in doubt, you must disclose. And by disclosing, you don't lose anything, especially in an event which is so public as COVID-19. So to make a declaration under this, saying what is the impact of COVID-19, or even given a disclaimer saying there is a certain amount of element of uncertainty unfolding, considering that we have made the estimate and our estimates could change based on what later, is a prudent disclosure to make.
So, question. Illustrations for this can find out SC 700 and revised 700. There is illustrations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, corporate and non-corporate like that. Whether exactly we have to report, I have shown text says. Whether exactly we have to make it copy, we have to change it and according to the convenience and make it.
Sir, I'm not able to see what you are talking to, you are referring about. So can be shared offline. I can read it and then give you my comments on it, because I don't want to make an off-the-cuff remark without having looked at the details.
Okay, sir, no problem. Okay, sir, fine.
Yeah.
Next, possible areas or inventory and fixed assets. I think it is continuation of the question maybe. Is COVID disclosure mandatory for unlisted companies? Possible areas or inventory and fixed assets from corporate governance perspective.
So two elements, sir. When you are talking of fixed assets, you have to look at with regard to the life of the asset. Has it changed? Two is if there is any deterioration due to lockdown, that is something. Impairment of asset is something you have to look at. And with realizability is definitely a key, and especially with regard to perishable or goods with expiry date, this becomes a critical element of how you consider it. So you cannot solely rely on the declaration made by the management, especially where statutes with talk about expiry date, where you may have to do a little bit more due diligence before you do. And in case of good corporate governance, you specify the limitations if there are any in what you have prepared.
Where the companies in US also required to disclose.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
It's a question from Jayant Kumar as well, where the companies in US also required to disclose. Asking, I'm not whether disclosure on COVID-19 is required for non-companies also. Before that, this Jayant has asked the question, sir. Jayant Kumar.
Sure.
I think so, where the companies in US also required to disclose, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. As far as US is concerned, there's a requirement. Any price-sensitive information, if there is there, you have to disclose it. Therefore, we have here shared in terms of out of 3,644 listed companies, we are seeing almost in the month of April, 100 of the listed companies that announced their results made a reference to COVID-19. And we have also seen the different heads under which they have made a reference to. So if you see in May, except for one company, every other company had made a reference to COVID-19. And we are also seeing, the different heads under which reference. So US is a litigation-prone society. Therefore, when in doubt, disclosing there helps because cost of can be reasonably stiff. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Non-companies also, I think.
Sure, sir. I didn't hear you. There was a
Whether
lag.
disclosure on COVID is required for non-companies also. I think non-corporate also.
Depends on for whom you are preparing, sir. If you are preparing a financial statement that is going to be used by lenders, then probably cover some amount of it so that lenders don't ask for an independent audit to revalidate what you are saying. As long as there is no covered by it, it is discretionary to the extent I feel.
Okay, next question is from Srinath Rao. Should the disclosure be in the audit report and director's report or only in director's report, since auditor is going to give his opinion on these statements?
Ideal for the company, the right thing to do ideally would be for the company to make the disclosure either in the or in the financial statement and the auditor to make a reference to it if it is important enough so that it protects them. To make a reference only in the audit report when the management has not made a reference either in director's report or in financial statement may not look good. The company to make a reference either in director's report or their financial statement and for the auditor to draw a reference to it, logical way of addressing the issue, I feel.
Any specific reference to be made in the independent auditor's report of small and medium private limited companies?
Sir, till now, whatever little I have looked at, no specific thing. I think there is ICAI has come out with a guidance report with regard to preparers of the report and audit. So that we'll have to look at in detail. In that, they have looked at each head of asset and liability and said what is the responsibility of the auditor and what is the responsibility of the preparer with regard to that. So we'll have to refer to that particular document and see whether we are complying with it at any given point of time. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. 1 second. Sir, does Gnanoba Kamble has asked, does Companies Act require the disclosure for unlisted companies on COVID impact?
So that's what I told now. Looking at it here, under this section, you may be required to give from a director's perspective, where we are looking at in terms that 135, where they're saying events occurring after the balance sheet date, event occurring after the balance sheet date, which has an impact. For example, whatever all the lockdown and the implications of the lockdown, if it in any way affects financial position, this will be applied in case of all lenders, a non-banking finance company or a bank which has lent money, it will definitely be there. Similarly, for other companies with regard to definitely if there is a discount that is sought by the client and you are provided a discount which is substantial, then probably you will have to make a reference to that. So I think under this section 135(3)(L to make a disclosure, and the auditor will have to see with regard to impairment of assets and any provision that needs to be made for any financial statement, any financial asset, whether it has been properly considered. The realizability of assets becomes in terms of a question that needs to be considered. Based on case to case, you have to see how much of importance you need to give for each one of those items. Material, then it makes sense for you to make a disclosure.
Sir, I wanted to know as to why there is no mention in any report about valuation of FG, realization of receivables, impact on working capital, major impact on expenses, etc. Your views, please.
Sir, till now we are seeing very large companies in India. We are probably talking companies in India. So when you look at the top 100 companies in India, they have enough financial liquidity and resource to be able to overcome a challenge which is probably a 1 quarter or 2 quarters. So what they have done, considering the fact the amount of liquidity they have, also the business resilience they have because of their size, they may not be required to cover as much in detail. But if you are talking of smaller companies, then definitely the model that we have defined here in terms of looking at it from the point of view of liquidity, solvency, profitability, and sustainability becomes. So if you're talking of small company, small and medium company, definitely you have to look at liquidity and see whether they will be in a position to honor their liabilities for the next 2 quarters. Then solvency, going concern, whether it gets affected in any way. Similarly, in terms of profitability, whether all known losses have got accounted for, impairments have got accounted for, and sustainability. Sustainability is more discretionary, but definitely with regard to solvency, liquidity, and profitability is something that needs to get covered. Since we are talking of very large companies, they have not. And even here, when you look at, for example, you see Reliance making a provision where they're talking here. And similarly, financial services companies where they have made provision for recoveries, lower recoveries that they have mentioned. Similarly, they have made, some other companies have made a positive reaffirmation saying that they have evaluated their receivables and found that there is no need for them to make any incremental provision because of COVID-19. So when you come down to smaller companies, which may not have this liquidity or resilience, then probably it will take much more focus than in case of larger companies. And the problem is, and the problem is the longer you take to finalize the accounts and publish it, more the exposure is. Assume that you had finalized the accounts and presented on 30th of April, like many of these large companies did, you had only a 30-day period to. Assuming you are finalizing accounts on the 15th of August, then you have a much more period of exposure for you to consider. So people who have had shorter period of exposures versus people who have had longer period of exposures. 2 is the size makes a difference. 3rd is liquidity to be able to survive a challenge and see whether how much of impact it has on the other things becomes key here.
So to what extent the COVID-19 advisory issued by ICA and what different issues need to be adhered to?
Sir, if ICA has issued fully, there is no option in terms of adhering to it partially. Unless you have a very good reason, you can go beyond, but at least the minimum you have to do adhere to the advisory that they have shared.
Is it not safe? Yeah. Is it not safe approach to make reference in audit report, emphasis of matters on going concern of the company, inventory verification, realization of receivable, impairment of assets because of not using for long time?
Definitely, that's what I'm saying. If the company itself is assessment and stated it in their financial statement, if they have made it and stated in the financial statement, you can draw a reference to that. If they have, if you say subject to this, I'm doing, then it's a report, sir.
What are the chances of COVID-19 provisions in P&L account, P&L, which can get allowed by income tax authorities? Do we see any challenges there?
I'm not a tax expert, sir. I would not render an opinion on that. So I don't want to this thing because I've never practiced. Logical to assume they will disallow and you'll have to fight to get it allowed.
Okay, so has MCA come out with the circular for non-listed companies as SEBI governs only listed companies?
MCA, to the best of my knowledge, with any recommendation for disclosure. From a disclosure perspective, they have not come out with anything. It's only SEBI which has come out.
So what is the impact of COVID-19 on IT-enabled services financial year 2019-20, vice versa 2021?
Sir, IT and IT-enabled services are two different spheres. Based on what the companies have been sharing, they do expect the impact of COVID-19. Depends on where they are getting their business from. It depends on which, that is US, Europe, or rest of Asia. So it is geography specific, but definite that there will be some impact, primarily coming from a lot of discretionary spends by companies. People have cut down on it, and people are also spending on different kind of IT investments. More of it to do with remote work, security, monitoring kind of a thing, which is very different technology. So a lot of IT companies have thrived in the current environment, and because which are catering to these specific requirements of remote working, monitoring, and in terms of providing software that enables delegation of work and thing. Whereas companies which have been in more traditional, which requires presence, have had impact on their revenue and profitability.
Sir, what if the director's report and the statutory report do not cover COVID-19 impact in the balance sheets finalized before 20th May 2020?
Then nothing happens, sir. If they've already published a report where it does not cover, see, that is a requirement to intimate the stock exchange. So even if you have finalized the accounts before 20th May, and if there is some to cover that you have to intimate based on that May 20, then you would intimate it to the stock exchange.
How do you quantify the impact due to COVID-19? What is the rationale?
So it has to be case by case, sir. Case by case, like what in finance, I think they have drawn out different scenarios. Based on different scenarios, you have to see what is the likely scenario that is likely to occur, and that be the implications. For example, there's a company that has made a provision for 4,500 crores, which is the impact of. So there is some methodology that they have used for doing that. Similarly, you can also take in terms of, similarly, you can also Bajaj Finance, where they have taken in terms of recoverability, they have made a provision based on estimates of different scenarios they have looked at. So you'll have to follow a method commensurate with the case you have in hand.
Okay, sir, it was a well presentation. In fact, we have issued lot of questions. We have spent almost 30 minutes on the questions. Hope the members have enjoyed the session. It is almost more than 650 members. Today, Bangalore Branch Dana Dasava program, last two programs was nearly about 600. Today, we are able to more than 650 members have viewed. I'm very much thankful for all the members for your active participation members. So, Shankar Jagannathan sir, the disclosure, what are the things to disclosure? Definitely, I hope the impact for the members who are now finalized, it's okay before May 2020. Definitely, our members, I believe the most of the members are stuck down in lockdown time, and so now the gearing for the corporate audit and tax audit, we don't know that 2020 how to close because everyone is looks on the chartered accounts. Let's everything data can be sent to the chartered accounts. So let's chartered accountant will review and finalize. If anything wrong comes, definitely it is again it will come to our end only. It is a very for our fraternity members to think on that, and carefully we need to make the audit and also disclosure requirements. The more we disclosure, more we become transparent in the especially for the corporate and especially for the listed companies. So, sir, on behalf of all the viewers and managing committee members of Bangalore Branch, I wholeheartedly thank Shankar Jagannathan sir. In the short notice, you are joined for the session, and members, As I informed, Bangalore branch is making an attempt to make it more members friendly programs. Tomorrow we are having a very important sessions from CA V Venkat Kumar, how to capitalize the excellent professional opportunities in insolvency practice for chartered accountants. Members kindly view this tomorrow program, and we are planned in August month also one program how you can crack the IBC exams. Or one of the past chairman is recently passed the exam. He is going to say yes. So tomorrow session is you have to link for the next month's session. So I request don't miss the tomorrow sessions at same 4 o'clock. So I thank everyone for joining with us. I request our Secretary, Bangalore Branch Secretary Shri Srinivas to formally render the vote of thanks to the speaker and all the viewers. Over to Srinivas.
Thank you, sir. It was an excellent session. In fact, because it shows the number of viewers in this today's program. It shows what is the importance. Yes, I hats up to your time and efforts in collating the documents, even studying the US reports and Indian reports, and you have shared your knowledge. I thank on behalf of Bangalore branch of ICA for your time and effort. One thing I can say that this, even if you read 100 reports, practically when we do the audit, the scenario will be different. We can use this reporting format as a platform, and we can draft our own for based on case to case basis. I think I thank on behalf of Bangalore branch of ICA for sharing your knowledge, and I also thank all the viewers for actively participating. Hope some of the members not got solved their questions regarding some of the tax questions are also they posted here. Hope better luck next time. We are trying to solve in another session by calling a tax expert on this. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to share. Thank you.
Tomorrow, after this program, we are uploading this in YouTube also. You can visit Bangalore branch SRC of ICI. It's almost 14,000 subscribers are there. So view all our programs has been uploaded in YouTube. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.